Nico Mew. Oh yeah, Mew. I think I played Mew before.
Is he a beast?
Yeah, it's good. Mew's good.
Song
I
came out in
know
the
this guy,
1990s.
bro.
That somebody
He's
definitely
always on my
someone.
Twitter crying about controllers.
Who?
No, they are. They go like every time I see a tweet, bro, it's always controller.
Why does it feel like everyone can just suddenly aim? Even if they're like a .02?
Because they're a controller! They don't need to. The game plays for you! These fucking freaks come over to my platform with other inputs than mouse and keyboard, which is superior! What are they doing on PC? Go back to console! Holy shit!
I was blocked.
That's kind of funny, you know why? Because I just
Why?
straight controller them. I hit him with drain.
He's gonna cry, bro. He's gonna make a tweet after this game.
Cool. I like Twitter. He's playing slow. I don't know where he went. What's the what? What? You went to the
Okay, this guy just one shot.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna start on that.
I do love my boy Nico, but it shows when he's not running anything like super weird or cheesy, like the skill that shows a little bit.
I'm gonna stop shooting people. I'm just gonna stop shooting people. There's no point. There's literally no point in me shooting people.
Oh, I got shit.
Oh. No, it's input diff, quite literally. On MK, if he was on MK, it wouldn't happen. It would not happen.
Me actually, hold on. Okay. Cheers, mate.
Now, if I'm gonna be completely honest, playing Behemoth for the last 4 years now has made me realize some things about the playstyle, and with the nerfs that's happened, that's been very, very significant for the subclass itself. A lot of people have stopped using it altogether. Now, I am here to tell you, Behemoth might be one of the hardest subclasses to learn in the game, if not the hardest, but it is definitely one of the best if you understand how to use it correctly. Because that's the problem at the current moment. People just don't know how to use X and Y, and then people blame it on the subclass being shit, and you just never get to experience a great subclass, which is, you know, kind of disappointing. So let me start it off with some techniques, as you call it, on how to play. I can't show you Diamond Lance, but I think I could show you examples that I have. Now, bear with me. There is definitely things they've patched, and I can show a few of them just right off the bat. One technique that's been patched for years now is the Glacier Nade into Shiver Strike and then lock yourself up on the ceiling. I'm showing a clip right now, but you get the point. This used to be a thing that used to be very powerful to get around the map, and as soon as it got patched, it was a very big blow to the subclass itself. Now, one thing Bungie has nerfed is Behemoth skating. I don't really know who would want to do this, but yeah, this is what it looks like now. That little jump I got right there, that's me skating with Eager Edge. It used to be just like all the other supers, or at least the ones that aren't patched. So imagine me going like a well right now across the map. But I use my super, that's the problem. But it's at least a handy thing that was possible until they patched it. Now, another trick that I don't know if I'll be able to proc is Behemoth skating. Hold up, this might be really tricky, or I'm gonna try to see if I can find the clip. Right there. That's what Behemoth skating looks like right now. It's very odd, and it's such a odd technique to use, because it's the second you slam, you have to start jumping like crazy. It's nothing I can replicate easily because I just don't know how to do it properly. And I only get it every once in a while. It's something you can definitely get used to. Like right there, I did it right there. But one thing I seem to forget when I do this is keep the momentum. At least that's Behemoth skating, if people wondering. So, trying to explain properly, I will, you know, fly in, heavy, and then jump. That's the way I have been doing it. And if people find out better ways to do this, please let me know. Because this is definitely something that will give me a big advantage whenever I do get my super, to be able to move incredibly fast. And it's much faster than it already is. It's just the timing is so odd. Like, look how incredibly fast that is. And if I could pull it off right there again, I could go so much further. But you get my point. It's a niche tech that's probably never gonna come up. Though, I will say, I'll be going over the buffs later in the video. And, you know, that might change. You might be able to get your super quite often. But, to put it simply, because the Behemoth melee, the Shiver Strike, was so powerful at launch, they did several things to nerf it. And one of this was make the melee cancel itself every time you touch any sort of surface. So, imagine this. I'm flying, and I'm just going. As long as I don't touch the ground, I will keep going, but my plummet will be greater for the longer that I'm in the air, if that makes sense. So, the longer I'm in the air, the faster I'm going to be plummeting down towards the surface, but I will always be in my melee and have my cone up as long as I am in the animation, right? So, it's something about timing that most people don't get about the Behemoth melee, which is why it might be inconsistent. You might often be going through people. You might honestly just not be tracking people a lot of the time. But if someone was standing right here, I would have connected to that guy, even though I was standing over there. And my point is just people need to understand when to let go of the melee keybind and be sure you don't touch a surface or any sort of thing. Let's say I want to get over to there and I'm standing here. One really bad thing to do is do this. Cuz you know, you might get the distance you're after, but as soon as you stop touching the surface, you're gone. So it's like you saw right there. how I instantly cancelled when I turned that corner. It wasn't because I hit a ground or a surface, because I touched the wall. There again, I hit this edge right here, and it's why I stopped the melee. It's nothing I can choose. I just need to learn how to not hit the surface, and I will be fine. And it's the same thing. Imagine your cone, right? You have like a little angular cone in front of you whenever you're in a melee, which is located in a certain spot in front of the player. I don't actually know where this cone is located because Bungie's never shown us. But imagine you have a cone, and this cone is pretty small. Imagine them making it 3 times bigger, and this is the space where your melee connects to the player. So imagine your cone being pushed past them, meaning you're too close to the enemy. Imagine your cone goes through them, and your melee cone is on the opposite side of the player. You're gonna whiff your melee, unless, you know, the melee connects onto the player like this. You're gonna miss the melee. It's not like my shiver strike is gonna hit him, it's gonna go through him. A lot of people seem to have problems with the shiver strike melee specifically, that it just doesn't want to hit, and it's such an odd thing. Because I find Shiver Strike being probably one of the best, if not the most consistent melee in the game. You can kind of always tell what's going to happen before it even happens. It's like if you know the angle you need to hit your enemy at, then you know when it's going to hit or not. And it's a very simple thing to understand as long as you play with it enough. And you see all these people with their shoulder charge, with their this, with their that, and you see a lot of people with Shiver Strike, mainly because they can't turn fast enough. They can't don't realize when to let go of the melee bind, and a lot of people don't even know. The longer you hold it in, the further you go. So some people think this is just a melee. That's all it is. There's no else to it. But there's so much to this melee. It's the most unique melee in the whole game, and it's why I find it so much fun, because, you know, it's a movement melee first of all. It allows you to get around corners. It allows you to push out angles, it allows you to fly in at the enemy, it allows you to do so many things that most melees do not. But it's very bad in PvE, of course. Unless you're making diamond lances. Now, my build is pretty simple. It makes sense when you look at all the aspects of my build and all my fragments. So let me read over. Diamond lance with cryoclasm, slide big, diamond lance, ice pick. I got cold snap, so whenever I throw my grenade, it will track them and freeze the enemy. Now this is a big problem, and this is something I want to talk about. Bungie doesn't actually know how inconsistent and unbelievably bad base cold snaps are. I think base cold snaps need some sort of buff because it seems to be very unreliable, just in general. And it being so unbelievably bad, it's like you kind of have to use the hunter aspect, if not the warlock exotic, if you want to use cold snap. Anything else, it usually just sucks. There's no reason to use it. You're basically just throwing a grenade. And honestly, I'm surprised I haven't been using glaciers more, because cold snap are super bad. But hey, if I can make a clip look flashy because of it, I will keep using it. It's kind of a key piece to my setup in general, right? And if it wasn't for this, 99% of the clips I hit would never be hittable, because I will use my cold snap, freeze the target, and then fly in and melee this guy. So let me show you an example. Imagine there's a player right there, and my cold snap is about to freeze him. He freeze, and I go in and shatter him, like this. I have a diamond lance, I can throw this on another player and shatter them. And the reason I use conditionals, not because it's the best shotgun in the game, but I do know it's the best shotgun in the game, it's because of its origin trait, paracausal pellets. So landing nearly all stasis pellets will freeze the target. That's all I care about. It's the fact that I can shatter someone with my shotgun. And this will grant me a diamond lance if, procced. So it makes it super, super good. And one thing I see a lot of people question me about whenever I start my stream is, how do you move so fast? Because I will do this, and people will be like, how? Because it's very, very fast, and it's quite an advantage to be able to do this. But it's simply just, I think I've explained this many times before, but I'll explain it again for people who don't seem to understand. It's slide, shift, jump. That's the input. Now if I do this slightly faster, slide, shift, jump. and I keep the momentum going out of my slide. Oh, that's unfortunate. But that's all to this whole tech, the cryoclasm tech. It's just slide, shift, jump. So that's slide, sprint, and then jump. Slide, sprint, jump. It should be pretty simple once you figure it out. And a lot of people I've taught this, they seem to get obsessed with it. One thing I will say, changing to any other class makes it really weird because I'm so used to just sliding, shift, and jump at all times. So I can just keep the momentum going around anywhere. And as soon as I go off stasis, it's suddenly a problem because now I'm just going to stand there like a... super awkwardly. Like, let's show you this. That's the difference. It's like, oh shit. So that's like that to the whole setup. I play mostly nowadays with ACDs and Peacekeepers. I like Peacekeepers for SMG playstyles. I've said this many times before, but I really do love this fast-paced SMG gameplay that most people are against. I'd much rather have this any day of the week, any year of the day, honestly, than people sitting in the back of the map with their 120s. Like, this is not really fun in any sense. It kind of just ruins the whole gameplay experience. But if people want to play like this, that's completely fine. And if I choose to play like this against you, you can't really complain. It's just the meta. But don't complain about what other people use against you. I think that's a better way of looking at it, is if you use anything that's not hard meta, you're suddenly a PDF file for some reason. I think that's what Twitter goes by. So, you know, my clan definitely hears that a lot, that a few of us might be PDF files because we use something that's not a 120 Void Titan or Solar Warlock with Conditional Finality and Igneous Hammer sitting in the back of the map fucking each other. So there is that to the whole thing. But, you know, I'd like having fun over playing to win constantly. If I can get some enjoyment value instead of some adrenaline rush after winning a Trials of Osiris game, then I think I'd go with the enjoyable option and at least enjoy the time I play in this game instead of complaining 24/7 about different shit. Look, I'm not saying everyone's wrong, there's definitely problems with this game, but people should look more into how can you counter X thing than instead of why is he using this thing. You know? Anyway, yeah, I like to use this as well. I've been falling in love with Hawkmoon again, because, you know, of the one tap. I don't like using handcans too much nowadays. They get too boring, too stale. So, Hawkmoon has definitely been a change of pace for me. Also, I do use Iggy a lot. Whenever I want to win, if you ever watch my streams, whenever I want to win, I will put on Iggy. Because I'm just not playing around. But, like... The reason I like this playstyle so much is because I can get the one tap off pretty easily, especially if the rounds are going slow. This is more for a passive, more team shooty playstyle instead of my running all in with SMG, you know, balls deep type of playstyle. But the whole goal here will be like, throw a grenade, let's say Synchro is hiding there, I freeze him, I shatter him, now I have a glaive, I can pick up the Diamond Lance, throw it at Lanza, his floating ass falls off the map and dies in the void. And I can, you know, glaive the last guy, for example. And, you know, the more glaive stacks you build up or melee stacks you build up, the less melee damage you take, meaning you will win mostly every single melee fight. Look, I don't care if this is like the definition of cringe. If you want to win, you gotta put on shit if you want to win. You can't sit there saying, oh my god, my Ophidian Aspects can't do this, where, they nerfed my thing so long ago, where. Dude, my transversive steps just reloads my weapon. Okay, then adapt. That's like the way I like to look at it, and especially if you're playing a competitive scene, or the most competitive it gets, I guess. You gotta understand there needs to be a way to counter X thing instead of complaining about X thing. It's not how everything in the game that doesn't benefit your playstyle should be picked. And I think that's one thing a lot of people don't seem to really care about, and instead just keep complaining about misery for hours and hours and not having fun whatsoever. You gotta understand that anything is counterable. You just gotta adapt to their playstyle. And if you don't want to adapt, then don't complain. Bam. But yeah, no, Diamond Lance do have a tech to it. Let me see if I can pull up a clip. But it's basically whenever you hold your Diamond Lance, you can punch and melee at the same time. You can punch and shoot at the same time, which means you do this heavy slam and you do the throw. But only one of these inputs will go through, and of course, the only input you actually will do is throw. But the way this works is you throw it, and then as soon as you press throw, you will slam. You need to figure out what your binds are. I'm not going to say, but at least for me, it's left click plus E, right? Left click plus E. Left click plus E. Like, this is just how I would do it normally, and it works completely fine. Nothing differ from inputs wise. You would just press them fast together, and you will do the animation. This allows you to get to the plunge to the ground super fast, and making it super, you know, that's kind of why I consider Behemoth also like a movement tech over anything. But you get my point. Anyway, so another thing I want to talk about is that Behemoth has had hundreds of changes, whether it's buffs or nerfs. The most recent ones are, of course, buffs, being this season, which is 6 months ago now. And Bungie buffing Behemoth was like a cool thing. They added the slow back to Shiver Strike, so whenever you tag someone with Shiver Strike, they get slowed. Whenever you pop your Behemoth super, you freeze enemies within 3 meters. Which, you know, it used to be bigger, but it's still gaining abilities we used to have back to the subclass. And it's super nice. Now, this is the part I've been waiting for, and this is the part that I need to get out before the final shape drops. But let me read this. So Menstrual sent me all the changes they were making to Behemoth, and on top of that he added his own words to it, saying, "This is what I think." Now, I want to read this out for you, so bear with me. And I want you guys to hear my process behind this as well, because the changes they're making are quite significant. Most people are saying these things don't really matter whatsoever, and it's like, sure, you can say that, but I can promise you one thing: these changes will have much more of an impact than you think. New Frost Armor keyword. You are fortified by layers of durable stasis matter, reducing incoming damage. Frost Armor damage resist grows stronger as you gain additional stacks. Reduces damage from PvE combatants by 4.5% per stack, and PvP enemies by 2%. Whisper of Rhyme reworked. No longer grants stasis shards overshield when collecting a stasis shards, now increase maximum duration and stack count for your frost armor. All harvest aspects added new behavior. While Grim, Tectonic, and Glacier harvest is equipped, stasis shards grants a small amount of health and stack of frost armor. Large stasis shards from Grim harvest grants more health and frost armor stacks. All harvest aspects now have a standardized cooldown when a large number of stasis shards are created very quickly. Whisper of Chill, stasis weapon final blows now have a chance to create a stasis shard. Whisper of Chains no longer grants passive damage resist when near stasis crystals or frozen targets. Now grants a chance to create stasis shards when defeating a target while you have one or more frost armor stacks. Whisper of Fractures no longer increases melee energy regeneration while being surrounded by enemies, now grants frost armor when you shatter any frozen target with a melee attack. Whisper of Torment. Grenade energy gains are no longer dependent on your current health value. Base grenade energy regeneration amount per income damage event increased from 5% to 7%. While you have frost armor, energy per damage event increases from 7 to 12%. Stasis Shatter. Increase the base PvE damage from 200 to 400. Fixed an issue where bosses auto-shattering were hit by 2 instances of shatter damage. Fixed an issue where players in an active super would show immune damage flyouts when automatically breaking out of stasis freeze. Shiver Strike. Increase damage for PvE combatants by 10%. Increase the melee size target search area cone about 50%. Increase the size of melee target search area cone. Dude, that word is just fucking with my head. Increased size of melee target search area cone by 50%. Okay. Increase the maximum lunge tracking angular speed from 7 degrees to 21 degrees per second. Glacier Quake now automatically begins sprinting when a player throttles forward. Cryoclasm removes sprint time requirement. Cryoclasm now goes on a 4-second cooldown after one extended slide. Increase thrown diamond lens detonation radius from 3.5 meters to 5 meters. Diamond lens now shatter crystals on direct impact. Reduce diamond lens pickup interaction time from 0.2 seconds to 0.1 second, matching strand tangles. Increase diamond lens pickup interaction radius from 0.7 meters to 3 meters, matching strand tangles. Okay, there's a lot of great changes here, but there's also some that I want to go back and talk to. One that Manstrel noted me to. So, let me read his statement here. I hate this. Currently, I'm in control when I want to long slide. In the future, you won't be able to slide a corner and then return safely because your first slide will throw you so far in the open, it won't be possible to get back. Have you ever used Cryoclasm to peek and return? No. Primary gunplay is ruined. He's not necessarily wrong because this just incentivizes for straight line shotgun gameplay. Some devs like straight lined with a shotgun, that's for sure. There will be a second skill gap to sliding, which is crazy. Need to micromanage when you have a long slide available. If I die one time because I go further than I want to when I want to do a normal slide, I'm no longer using Cryoclasm. It's like Icarus Dash, but you don't Icarus Dash without your own inputs. You can tell they're trying to find a middle ground when in Season 12 you had 2 instances of Cryoclasm, but now you only have 1, and that's the worst than sprinting to charge it up. I'm pretty sure 4-second cooldown is slower than the currently cryo-skating if you are doing it on cooldown. Okay, the way I look at this is a great change because there's some downsides, but there's also a lot of good things about this. The one good thing is the fact that I can instantly cryo-skate off spawn and be fast on movement. I will be able to get out as fast as possible, and I can choose. I can't choose. I just go. I can just go straight away, meaning my rollouts will always be insanely fast when I'm on stasis, and there's not really any downsides to that. But it's as soon as you start getting into gunfights, it becomes a problem, because now you need to know that you won't overextend your slide, you won't do this, you won't do that. You need to make sure your cooldown is up if you want to slide out and slide back in. And it's just... imagine Icarus Dash, but every time you jump, you were forced to Icarus Dash because you were in the air. You can't choose, and every 4 seconds it will automatically Icarus Dash whenever you press jump. Just think about that for a second. That's kind of the same change they did to Cryoclasm here. I think a better way would be to make Cryoclasm an interactable key, like Icarus Dash is, and whenever you're in your slide, you can choose to extend your slide further than you're supposed to, so cryo-skating, or cryo-sliding, or you just have a normal slide. It's like Octane when he injects himself with drugs. You start going fast, you know, you get pumped up. There should be a key for that, so whenever you press it, there's a 4-second cooldown on it. Like, I don't see an issue with that. The only difference is you choose when you want to do the cryo slide and when you don't want to do the cryo slide, instead of being forced every 4 seconds, if that makes sense. The Diamond Lance changes are a thing that I also look, like, I think is pretty cool. Manstrel's take on the shatter stasis on direct impact with diamond lances is kind of useless, which is completely understandable. But the detonation radius is actually kind of big because they're buffing it by 1.5 meters. So it will be a lot better for controller players and insanely strong for mouse and keyboard players. And then you have the pickup on diamond lances, which is also a big change. People just don't seem to realize it, but there's also some bad things. These 2 changes are nice until you realize it just makes it so much easier for a teammate to steal your diamond lance. I hate when people pick up my tangle. Since they aren't on strand, they don't get any buffs from it. I don't trust the gym on Bubble Titan to make use of a diamond lance like the person who made it to begin with. That's what I'm saying. That's literally what I'm saying. And let me touch on the Shiver Strike as well, because Minstrel had some things to say about that as well. Because the Shiver Strike buff is kind of coming out of the blue and also seems unreasonable for anyone who understands how the melee works. What he said was, this is unneeded. This makes me upset because it just proves the point that people in charge of balancing are incompetent. They somehow think it's bad. How? Remember when they buffed Cold Snaps to be as fast as on Osteomancy Warlock to where they have phase through targets? Somehow, I have a feeling this is going to break the melee, and it's going to make it is going to be dysfunctional for some time. We'll see. And he was very baffled by this, but I completely agree. I think the melee is in a very fine spot at the moment, and this is from someone who uses it a lot. I don't see a reason for a buff at all. And especially something with as big of changes as they are, they're making it kind of like you can't miss with the melee instead of you have to be on target. I don't know. Bungie is interesting for this one. A lot of the Whisper changes are kind of irrelevant, Whisper as in fragments. And I don't really care about any of them except for Whisper of Torment. Now, Whisper of Torment is the only one that actually just piques my interest because it's the one I'm using at the moment, and they're just buffing it. Like I said before, the base, so they base it really weirdly. Per income damage event, that's what they call it. But every time you take damage, you get 5% to 7%. So that's a 2% buff, which is pretty nice. And if I'm able to fit Frost Armor into my build, then I will go from 7 to 12%, which is insanely big. That means 10 damage events will give you, or 9 damage events will give you your melee back. However much that must be. But you get my point. It's a pretty good aspect, and it will give you a grenade quite often. But the Frost Armor things, I'm gonna be completely honest, me not playing Triple Behemoth or any sort of build like that, I just don't care about it. It's nothing that's gonna pique my interest for now unless it becomes unbelievably broken, and I'm most likely just gonna stick with my Cryoclasm, Diamond Lance, Cold Snap playstyle with the fragments I'm currently using, because none of the new ones looks interesting at all, and they all seem to play around this Frost Armor, right? They reworked a few of them and then added some new, like Whisper of Chill. Stasis Weapon Final Blows has a chance to create a Stasis Shards. And this chance is a problem because Whisper of Chains now grants a chance to create a Stasis Shards when defeating a target. You see the problem? It's not guaranteed. It just makes it very inconsistent. I understand, like, these things can be cool whenever they happen, but they won't happen as much as you think. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, because this would be insanely big if it actually was true, but I just don't see a purpose for these things whatsoever. There just seems like Bungie's trying to add on things to make it seem like they're giving us new content, but at the same time not doing anything, like giving us anything of value. I'm not looking for something that will break the game, I'm looking for something that can change up my playstyle. And so far, it just seems like this seems like a rhyme nerf at most. I mean, thinking how, like, when you read what the behaviors for the new, if you read what behavior of the harvest aspects are, it says that, you know, it will heal you and give you a Frost Armor stack, which is good. That's incredibly strong, especially if you pair this up with multiple harvest Titans, so, for example. But it says also, all harvest aspects now has a standardized cooldown when a large number of shards are created very quickly. Which means it might be very inconsistent. Because we don't know how many shards this specifically applies over how long of a period. This could be really bad, and they could completely kill off Rhyme in any sense. Or this could be really strong, and they could have mega buffed all these harvest aspects for all 3 classes, not just Behemoth, but all 3 classes, and making them incredibly strong. Now, one thing that I want to know from you guys is, what do you guys look forward to Final Shape? Because this is definitely something that I care a lot about, and I'll keep you updated whenever the changes come in and we can see the difference between how the game played and how the game plays. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this very talkative video. I want to do more of these, but I can get that they can get pretty stale and boring, so yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and give me your thoughts, your opinions, and I hope you're hyped for the final shape, because I am! I can't wait! This is gonna be so fun! And I love all of you, and I'll see you guys on my stream or in my next video, whenever you guys watch me next. Bye bye!